We will call to order the Lincoln City Council meeting Thursday, November 7th, 2024 to 6 p.m. and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Nelson.
This is a reading from Psalm 146. Happy are those whose help is the God of Jacob, whose hope is in the Lord their God, who made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them, who keeps faith forever, who executes justice for the oppressed, who gives food to the hungry. The Lord sets the prisoners free. The Lord opens the eyes of the blind. The Lord lifts up those who are bowed down. The Lord loves the righteous. The Lord watches over the strangers. He upholds the orphans and the widow, but the way of the wicked he brings to ruin. The Lord will reign forever. Your God, O Zion, for all generations. Praise the Lord. Let's pray. Lord God, we pray that you will be with us, the citizens of this great nation of the United States of America, as we embrace the changes that have come in leadership at the federal, state, and local levels. We pray, Lord, that you give us the hearts to embrace our new leadership, to support them, and to give them the tools that they need to provide the jobs and the security that they have promised to us. We pray, Lord, that those leaders would find ways to feed our hungry, to shelter our homeless, bring about change in justice systems, to free the oppressed, and to bring about wisdom in all those who serve them. We ask all this in your holy and precious name. Amen.
And
Anna Trovia. Roll call.
here.
Amanda Davis.
Here.
Derek Bierenstead.
Here.
Carrie Praska.
Here.
And then Mayor and Gavin and Tanya Wilson, auditor.
Here. Great. So first we have our agenda approval.
I'm going to amend our agenda and add the Girl Scouts to the agenda tonight. Can we have that under old business too, because they were on last agenda, but weren't able to make it.
Okay, so
You want them number 7 or number what?
Number 7 would be fine, yes, please. Sorry.
Okay, we have a motion to amend the agenda to include Girl Scouts number 7 by Councilman Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Bjornstad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. Next, we have our public comment period. I invite you to come to the podium, state your name. This is for items that are on the agenda for this evening. Second call for public comment. Third and final call for public comment. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Councilman Davis,
I second the motion.
second by Councilman Antonio. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And so moved. So now under old business, number 7, we have Girl Scouts.
Okay.
That they are on their way in.
Next.
So hello, ladies, welcome. Come on in.
If you girls want to stand up here, that would be fine, because then you're in front of the camera too. Welcome, Girl Scouts. What is your plan for this evening?
The 83166 is here to talk to you about our Girl Scout Bronze Award that we're trying to get. We had to take a look at our Girl Scout community to see what we could do to improve it. We looked at all the housing going up, the extension of walking paths, and increased parks going up to Lincoln. We saw an increased need of our dog waste station. We're asking for your approval to do so, and then we would need to partner with our Lincoln residents and Parks and Recreation to see where the current signs were made and would make more and get the rest of the supplies.
You ask yourself, why does this matter to our trip? Let me explain. All throughout Girl Scouts, we continue to learn that we need to make our world a better place for each and every day, by starting with ourselves, our community, and with the current authority figures in our lives. By doing so, it helps us gain independence, confidence, as well as we get to see how much of an impact we have in our community. But from beginning to end, I can't think of a better city to do our project for. Another part of Girl Scouts that we continue to learn every year from Becky and Heather is that we're about helping people at all times. We consider and caring these resources to make the city of Lincoln a better place for everyone. With our increased traffic to all areas of the city comes increased people walking their animals and an increase in animals going to the ramping without people picking up after the stuff. We have all seen in Facebook posts that people are unhappy with those that just let their animals go to the bathroom and the birds. Sure, you're asking yourself, who will help with this idea? Mostly it'll be our trip. And will have to partner with each person in the community to get approval to put a dog waste station in place. But also Lincoln Parks and Recreation to see where they got the current supplies and help maintain the stations. What do you say, City of Lincoln? Do we have your blessing? And most importantly, thank you for your time.
Good job, girl. To answer your question, I think that's a great idea. Personally, does anybody else on council have an opinion on that one?
I know there's a lot of dogs in our community, so I think it'd be very useful.
For sure. How about you?
I like your idea, girls. It was a good idea. I think we can support that.
Yes, great entrepreneurship as well. Fabulous idea, ladies. Great job.
And great job addressing council. That was wonderful. Thank you, Sue. Blessing from all of us.
So now park and board, right? Gotta talk to parks. Well, sounds good, ladies. Thank you so much, Troop. We appreciate you. Thanks for coming in. Thank you so much for coming.
Did you want to have a?
If you would,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I think if we just stand up and they stand in front of us, I think that'd be great. Turn around, ladies. Let's scoot over just a little bit. Okay, off to the neck of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Keep it up, ladies. Keep it up. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, number 9. Well, We have a 7 for consent agenda, so. Either way, sewer regionalization, easement proposal update. For attorney,
Yeah, at this time, we don't have any update from the last meeting. There's no substantive changes, everything's still as it was at the previous meeting. We'll have more of an update at the next meeting.
perfect, thank you. Number 9/10, we have the Dakota appraisal proposal finalization for the sewer regionalization easement.
And from our review, in terms of the agreement, all perfectly fine. And so all it needs to be done is for the council to move and authorize the execution of the agreement.
I'll make a motion to approve Dakota appraisal. No, I'm just reading the top of the thing, sorry. Top of the page. Yeah, Dakota appraisal proposal finalization.
Okay, we have a first from Councilman Davis. Is there a second?
I guess I would hope that there would just be a little bit of discussion, particularly around the fee section in number 8. Maybe we could just have a brief explanation.
I'm curious on that, if that is just for one property or if it's for the whole.
I think the price was for the entire process, the entire project and evaluating every easement associated with the property.
And you,
This is what on the agenda,
and we had approved it, it's just the execution of it. that we-
But this is the first that we've seen of the numbers.
But please, we talked to you guys about
This is the first time the document has come before us, but you did give the amount. That it was going to be between that 25 and 50 mark.
Okay. Thank you.
But, yeah, the terms were discussed from my, from what I recall, the terms were discussed. This is just a written proposal for execution.
With that, I would second.
Okay, we have, first by Councilman Davis, second by Councilman Grunstead. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved, and next, then, do we have to do? that?
Octavia? Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Grunstead?
Yes.
Praska?
Yes.
Great, next under old business is Woodridge drainage.
Yeah, and again, we don't have any update on Moon Ridge, and we likely won't have an update until Monty gets back. So that would be on the first meeting in December. We'll have an update when Monty gets back and he has a chance to work on that.
New business, Chief Giddings. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Make sure I got all my paperwork for you guys. I won't take much of your guys' time. I just want to make an announcement for both city council as well as the public. We've been working on a public safety survey that we want to put out to the community. And what that's going to help address is going to be a lot of the thoughts and concerns of our community towards their views on safety in the community. And so it's a completely anonymous survey. And what that means, it does not gather any personal identifying information. the results will not be anonymous or kept secret. Those are actually gonna be shared. We want those to be shared so that we can see, what the community, what the public feels is going on in the community and what we need to focus on more. So your responses will be anonymous, so we don't gather any of that info. It's through a Microsoft Forms page. I won't even have access to it to get who is responding, so it'll be an anonymous response. But the results, when they come in, we'll be able to look at it, and it's gonna cover a range of topics from how we feel the officer presence is in our residential areas versus our business district, or how we feel the presence at our schools is, traffic enforcement, response to calls, questions such as, have you ever been a victim of a crime? Have you ever had any good interactions with our law enforcement officers or bad interactions? So we want to gather all this information so that we can compile it and use it to help make a informed choice and decision as to how we move forward going down the road. So we're hoping to make this go live. It's just an online survey. We're gonna go live here tonight if we can, and then we'll keep it open for roughly about 3 weeks. I think I said we're gonna close it out about November 28th, in hopes that we can collect enough information to help us make some decisions on that. So if there's any questions on that, that's really the biggest thing I wanted to share on this, is that it is anonymous. And a lot of people say, well, it can never be anonymous. It doesn't collect any information. The only way it does is if you signed into something saying this. We did not give that option, so people cannot sign in. It's just, you click on the link or you scan the QR code and it takes you to the survey. You complete the survey and it sends it off the results so that we can review it. And then we would come here, my guess is right after the first of the year, present the results saying this is how people are feeling in our community. This is what we need to focus on. This is how we're viewed in the public's eye. And this is super beneficial for us in our department, starting new and starting fresh. So we're making sure that we are addressing everything that the community feels is the important needs. So, any questions from anyone?
I do. Is this QR and link going to be available on the city website as well as?
Yes, so what I will do here tonight, and so the QR won't get posted, or the link probably won't get posted to our city webpage until the crew comes in tomorrow morning, but on our social media page, we'll have it posted on the Facebook social media page there, as well as anybody can send it out to anyone. It's gonna be a form that we'll send to all city employees, all city council members, and then if you have contacts, send it out. We want people to take this survey. So with that being said, because we're not collecting info on it, people who are not city residents and are not community members of Lincoln can potentially take it. So we also have to take that with a grain of salt. The only way we'd be able to keep it community members only is if we had a login. Well, then it's tracked, and I don't want to do that. I want it to be anonymous so people can feel free to say what they need to or what they want to about how they feel about the police department. So yes, it will be posted everywhere. We'll get it on the city website. We'll get it on city Facebook, PD Facebook, post it everywhere we can, as well as get QR codes up all around the city. Any questions?
And council?
Just a comment that we thank you for your hard work and the department's determination to do a great job for us out here. This has been
Absolutely,
doing
we're very excited for it, so
This is a great idea.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, great.
thank you guys, appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
And next under new business is the engineer report.
Being mayor and council members. Engineering report for past month, we've had, for the most part, just kind of regular meetings and that, nothing out of the ordinary there. For applications, we've had the final plat submittal for Ridge Edition and Ridge Second Edition. And we're waiting on a little bit more documentation. Once we have that, that'll go through planning and zoning first. So,
Is that gonna be east of 66 still too, or is that a different?
yes, east 66.
Okay.
We've had
a few residential development applications, for homes, so 3 of those are started at this point. Did a couple of accessory building applications. One a little bit challenging is a 50 Egan Place, which is the South 40 events.
Mhm.
And there's just some lacking documentation from when that area was more or less platted and annexed in that. So there's some missing PUD information that we're going to be working on. Trying to acquire that, if we cannot find it, we'll have to kind of go through the process and create that so that he's able to move forward with doing an accessory building for his properties.
Okay.
So that's where those are at. In process, projects and ongoing, so the water reservoir and water main, tank construction. Nothing really has been changing for them. They're planning on touching up the gravel access road here in the next week or so. That'll pretty much close out their contract. Preload has completed the tank work and they're filling the new tank. And once it's full, then they'll begin to take down the old piece and so. Preload had requested a time extension, which is some material delays in adding the mixer to the existing water tank, about a month or so back. So that substantial completion was pushed to November 27th with final completion of December 13th. So that at this point should still hold. So at this point, I guess, does anyone have any questions for your project here?
No, it's been going pretty smooth, providing our change of state.
Right. So with that, then we recommend the motion to approve pay application number 8 for preload, an invoice for more engineering as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the pay application number 8 for preload and then the invoice for more engineering as presented.
We have a motion by Councilman Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Bjornstead. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Do
Sanitary,
we need a
sorry.
Roll call.
Davis,
Yes.
Artavia,
Yes.
Ernston,
Yes.
and Kraska.
yes,
The next other project is the sanitary sewer regionalization. With BRIC grant, we haven't talked off and on about that. I check in with the grant writer and the state about every couple weeks and that just to see where it's at. And they have all the information that we can give them. It's just processes on and on. So they're tentatively giving us another end of the year. They should have it done. We're not gonna hold our breaths on that, but we're trying to push as hard as we can on it and trying to get some other people involved, asking the questions to see if there's a little bit more pulse somewhere to try to do this. So that's where we're at with that part of it. SEH had turned in the plans a while back to the DEQ. They have got some comments back, just some preliminary ones, but they have not completed their final review on it yet. So soon as we get those, SEH will finish that up. And I think getting through the process that Gavin mentioned earlier, getting into the easements. My hope is that everything just starts off on very nice couple of months. So, but as soon as that is done, then everything can get sent out for bids. So,
And again, this isn't going to affect use of prairie dog and radar.
correct. And I should also mention that with
FEMA extending their time frame on this final approval of their grant isn't cutting into our time frame to do the project.
Okay, that's extending as well, as well. That's good to know. Good.
So. Any other questions on any of these or?
We were talking about, doing some things to try to help move this process through and more quickly. Is there anything that council can do to assist in that?
Not that I'm aware of. It's kind of sitting at the state level. And that's where we're trying to put more pressure on is the people that work directly with FEMA. Just really pushing on them to say, let's try to get some answers.
All of
Yeah,
you is,
try to get it through.
to piggyback on that, what about our governor or governor-elect,
Right.
that might be an opportunity.
Yeah, and I'll talk with our DES reps at the state to see if they would appreciate some pressure from some other individuals, if that would help them as well. So we'll reach out and do that.
Thank you, Greg. The sewer water management or stormwater management. There was an email that was received as far as enforcement and those practices. If you would address that a little bit for those that might be wondering what process the city is responsible for or whatever goes through.
So, yeah, so like for any kind of project, and I should say more focused on the dirt work part of it is seems to be what usually pops up and the questions come up. Typically for development, there's a stormwater management plan that's created, and that's part of their plans that gets reviewed and approved. Once that's in place, the contractor usually they do our work started in that case, then they also have to apply with the North Dakota Department of Environmental Quality to get a permit for land disturbance. So at that point, we just more or less kind of once they observe, we'll see, what's going on. If there's something that jumps out or someone, claims or do something, we can go out and remind contractors, remind owners. These are some of the things that should be done to make sure that erosion's managed, dust is managed, like that. But we don't have really the ability to force anything on it from the city standpoint. If it gets to a point of needing enforcement, it usually ends up having to be the complaint that goes through the DEQ, or the DEQ, they do random inspections as well, and they have the abilities to apply fines or what they feel may be appropriate.
Thank you for clarification on that. Any questions regarding that or ask the agent? Jury slash engineer. Sorry. All right, thank you. All right, so now we're gonna continue on with our portfolios. We'll start with Councilman Davis.
I have nothing to report.
All right, Councilman Artavia.
Okay. So the police department for October 2024 update calls for service and officer activity. Police officers responded to 348 calls for service, demonstrating a broad commitment to community safety and responsiveness and to drive diverse needs. We accepted and responded to different types of calls, including child abuse and neglect, school enforcement incidents, animal-related calls, missing person cases, assisting other agencies, domestic disputes, medical assist, including a life-saving event, which Officer Sauer, who played a critical role in this event, he did a wonderful job. And actually, I will say that that's not his first life-saving event for us here in Lincoln, and our officers are doing a wonderful job that we are so grateful for. Under Title 13 of the Lincoln Municipal Code, officers have been focusing on traffic safety initiatives, including speed enforcement and impaired driving deterrence. Increased patrols in high traffic areas have resulted in a reduction of incidents and improvement in compliance with local traffic regulations. Officers issued 98 citations for various violations, reinforcing our commitment to public safety and adherence to traffic laws. Some of the citations issued included speed violations, seatbelt violations, cell phone use while driving violations, equipment violations, driving under the influence, driving under suspension. The level of activity highlights the department's diligence in addressing public safety concerns and underscore our officers' dedication to upholding safety standards in the community. I'd like to thank Chief Giddings for giving me this information, for telling us about the public safety survey that we can all be a part of. And some upcoming goals that they have are that they are developing that strategic plan for 2025 to further improve patrol coverage, streamline operations, and enhance community relations. So in summary, the department remains committed to maintaining high standards of public safety, fostering positive community relationships, and ensuring that the officers are supported through well-structured schedules and health initiatives. They appreciate the council's ongoing support in their efforts to provide quality law enforcement services to the city of Lincoln. And that is the only thing that I have. Thank you, Chief Giddings, for the information.
And I think that's absolutely wonderful to see the safety focus that the city has been lacking in the last handful of months, back up to being very focused. So I appreciate that, and thank you, Chief, for leading. Any other comments, questions? Just thank you very much. And then also under public safety, Chief Burr had handed out our Bismarck Rural Fire Department summary also, so that will be available. Anything of that you would like to point out, Chief?
What's that? Sorry, you just.
Anything?
Anything focused that you want to share?
No, pretty much everything is on there. We did quite a few PR events over the last month with you.
Yeah.
I can just quickly, I'll just quickly highlight the calls of service for the city of Lincoln, 2024 year to date. The department's responded to 723 calls for service. Overall, 140 of those calls have been to the city of Lincoln. Monthly run summary this past month, for the month of October, we had 15 calls. 8 of the 15 were emergent responses. They broke down as 1 fire, 12 rescue EMS, and 2 hazardous condition.
So it's not 8 out of 150, it's 8 out of 50.
Yeah, that there was an extra 0 on there. So, sorry about that. For department training, for October, we completed an awareness level on grain bin extrication and looked at equipment from a neighboring department, and something I might be looking at to purchase in the future. For November, we plan on completing our annual CPR AED refresher. Additional training our assistant chief attended statewide discussions online for community risk reduction on haunted houses right before Halloween and stuff like that, because we do have a few of those that we do have to inspect and stuff like that under the inspection side. And then I did send 1 firefighter to Denver, Colorado for a firefighter training conference for about 4 days. So then I mentioned PR events. We had quite a few fire prevention things that were set up. Minokan Elementary, Mandan, we did the Mandan Fire Prevention Parade, we did Prairie Rose Elementary, Mountain Elementary. Then we did the Leda Trunk and Treat and the Lincoln PTO Trunk or Treat. The one that I did notice on here, we did have Lincoln Elementary this year for fire prevention, and I didn't know, I'm not quite sure, I have to check with my assistant chief on why that is, but we'll make sure that we are there next year. But we did get to a good chunk of rural schools. There's actually quite a few rural schools that people don't know about, so we hit quite a few of those, so hopefully we can get a few classes, a bunch of classes, like an elementary next year. And then fire prevention safety tips that I did before, again, as the apprentices start to kick back on as things start to cool off a little bit, it's a good time to make sure and check furnace filters so that they operate properly. And then also make sure and check your batteries on your smoke detectors and carbon dioxide detectors with, and we always say that as the daylight savings time change and all that stuff. So with that, I'll see if you have any questions.
Do you know where it was the department able to go to Manning School?
That one we did not go, and that one I did not go to either. From what I've seen from my reports, there's a few of them that we weren't able to attend this year. Apple Creek also was not on there, so I know we've reached out to all of them, but maybe something just didn't work with schedules. That was on my assistant sheet to try and get all those set up, so I don't know exactly why there was a few of them that we weren't able to attend, but most likely it was probably due to scheduling conflicts and stuff like that. So, but we are diligently trying to get to all of them during fire prevention week and stuff like that. So we'll continue to do that.
That's one fire person to each school.
Yeah.
We're growing that much.
Yeah, October's a busy month, the fire prevention month, and the trunk or treats and everything else. October is a very busy month for us always, and September is a very busy month as well for PR events and stuff. So now in November we have none, so everybody's kind of taking a nice break.
Well, thank you.
You bet. Any other questions? Okay.
Thank you. All right, Councilman Lundstedt.
Public Works have been kind of prepping things for the months ahead of us. Which have been working on cleaning up views off the streets. I want to make sure the drains don't get plugged up by them. They put away the aerating equipment, put sander on a freight liner, filled up the sand bay with salt and sand. They also added chemical to the 50-second lift station, break down the grease and added bugs. All helped in the process. Seems like an odd concept, but it works. As an engineer at Touch Base, they've been working on sanitizing and filling up the new water tower. Unless there's any objections, Public Works would actually like to look into starting up their own Facebook page. Just to help kind of get notices out there when they're going to be cleaning streets, plowing, random projects and stuff that they might be working on. Yeah, just another way to help inform the public. And
Great idea.
they'd like to look into the possibility of purchasing a new riding lawnmower. And then they would also look into either selling or trading in the old one that'll cover any costs. So we'll have to look see what kind of budgeting options there are for it. See what the options are. And the Public Works Director has actually spoken with the Mandan Public Works Department. And the way it's been working as the last couple of years, dealing with the tree and branch disposal at our drop site here, it's actually been running up close to about $10,000 a year to dispose of them between the landfill costs, trucking them out of here, all that, payroll and everything. So I know what the Public Works Director would like to do is once the sewer regionalization is completed and those cells are no longer being used, you'd like to use one of those cells as a spot to dump the trees. And then when the time is available and the wind and everything is right, you can burn them there. But the Mandan Public Works Department is looking at getting rid of it blower. And basically what it is, it's a large engine with a big fan or motor on it that you set up next to the fire. And it just keeps a strong airflow going in there. It keeps the fire burning hotter, which helps minimize the smoke and reduces the amount of energy from what I've been reading on it, so.
How big is this blower? We
Do
know.
you have much more info on it yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so yeah, there is more info that we'll have to gather onto it, especially if it's over our $10,000 limit. We're gonna have to see what our options are for purchasing it or if there's some kind of. There's just kind of something to put in your forth for the back of your minds that it's something that we'd like to look into and see what our options are with that to help. And from what it sounds like, it could potentially pay for itself or break even within a matter of 2 to 3 years.
So is that something that would require rural fire to be out there present during that time? No?
No, it's something that I think that we probably at some point should probably talk to Public Works at all and give feedback on it. I don't have any issues with it. The only thing that I would say is it does expose the city to some liability, because if you have a fire there and the fire goes and it gets outside of that pit, anything that happens, the city is liable for.
Sure.
We wouldn't burn till the winter. It would only be in the winter time, so, because it'd be a big enough area to stockpile it till winter, where right now we don't have that space.
And that would have been one of my recommendations. Yeah, I was doing it during the winter time when you have snow on the ground. That's the least likely time. And
Spread.
I think that fan, depending upon that fan, that also definitely help. You could probably make sure that the smoke doesn't go into the city and cause issues within the city and that stuff like that. So.
Interesting. I know we've talked before on how to discard the trees and not make it so costly, so it's a good idea. Good job. Good idea.
That's what I have.
All right, thank you. Councilman Praska.
Nothing for my portfolio, but I would like to ask council or let council know that I would like to step down from city council for some personal reasons.
All right, so then we would need to accept this stepping down for Councilman Praska. Is there a first? Or a motion?
I would make a motion to accept, Councilman Praska's resignation from the board.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have first by Councilman Bjornstad, second by Councilman Artavia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And can we get a roll call vote, please?
Artavia,
Yes.
Ernstine,
Yes.
and Davis.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh, all in favor, say aye. Well,
Aye.
Mary did. We did, Jenny. And so, I'll take this opportunity to thank you, Councilman Praska, for your time on council.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one question. Did you get the tree, somebody, citizen for tree board? I just want to make sure somebody turned something in.
Yes, we did.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Thank you. And to speak to that now, under my portfolio, we do have a citizen interest form that has been submitted for tree board. I did not put it part of this portfolio because we're going to have to discuss then Councilman Praska's portfolio, the beautification portfolio, if any thoughts at council table?
I would be willing to take on the beautification portfolio until we figure out the next step.
Okay, any other discussion thoughts?
I think if she's willing to take that on, I think that's a nice gesture.
Great.
All right.
So what are we going to discuss at this meeting, what the next step would be for the replacement process?
Are you?
Yeah, so, yeah, so there's a couple of different ways that the vacancy can be filled. One option is that the council can call a special election on its own. The council may, after 15 days of the acceptance, so 15 days from today, and they can fill the vacancy by appointment. And there's also a citizen petition method that requires 5% of qualified electors. That's determined by the total number of votes casted in the last city general election. And if the citizen petition is filled out and submitted in a timely manner, then the council must call a special.
And in a question concerning that, is anybody here at the table aware of the costs for a special election to the city? Or a ballpark idea?
Tammy, would you know that from your last?
$11,000.
$11,000.
And if I'm not mistaken, after the 15 days, if a member is then appointed, then there's a new 15-day period that citizens can still petition. Correct. Okay.
And then for the citizens petition, there's also a process that they would need to get approval from the Secretary of State that their petition meets the requirements under their process for special elections and their signatures for petitions.
And if the appointment was to be filled, can we discuss that just a little bit, what that would look like in that process?
Well, can I ask for clarification? Because that might impact that. So the 15 days and the 15 days, so there's 30 days?
So if the council appoints, the 15 days starts anew for the petition process, if that makes sense. So then from the date of appointment, again, the 15 days will start for a petition to be submitted for that.
And so what would that do? So if the citizen, and I hadn't heard. So if then the reason for that would be is if there's an appointment that the citizens aren't happy with, then they would petition. That's my understanding.
Yeah, it can be for that reason, but it can also be that they want to say in who is elected. So it could have nothing to do with who is appointed. It's just the citizens can on their own initiative during that time petition for an election.
So the first option is 15 days to request a special election. Or let that 15 days pass, and then the council selects
Yeah, so
a replacement, and then there's an initial or additional 15 days after that.
for the petition.
Okay,
And if the city receives a petition, it must call a special.
the special.
Yep, so the city can either decide on its own to have a special election or appoint after 15 days.
So can we appoint within that 15 days, somebody? Or do we have to wait the full 15 days?
I will get an answer to you guys
Okay.
tomorrow on that. I
Okay.
just want to check the wording of the statute, but I believe it can be, but I'm not entirely sure. So.
Yes, and just these more clarifying questions, because perhaps we would want to know of people's interest for filling this position, so that we could look into that and perhaps communicate some of that information as possible, as appropriate.
Agreed. So. Nothing, special election. Appoint. Special election.
Can we appoint without a special election?
Yeah, so you can, yeah.
Yeah,
no,
so you
that's-
could-
But if the community doesn't.
Right, if they act first, we have to act on that.
Right, and then if we do, if that 15 days goes. We do the appointment. And then a certain percentage does not. Or. Would like to, that is at that same 5%, okay, and then. That would be then a reason to have the special. Okay, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
I think I've got it.
I'll send the file.
Please,
Hopefully we can avoid spending an additional $11,000, but that's just my opinion.
I know in the past they've done citizen interest forms and then the council have performed interviews.
Right, yes, yeah, I had to do an interview once too for.
Sounds like a great possibility to explore.
The first thing I think you guys are gonna want is interest forms, right?
Yes, the
Yes.
citizen, I would agree on citizen interest form.
We probably need it.
And then just to. What I would like to see. Is, and then council, if you would agree. That we not have it a full council. Because we might get more people willing to come in and put their name forward. If, one or two council members. And a couple of people from the community. To be part of that interview process, so it is not in an open forum. Yeah, maybe puts a lot of pressure on somebody to come in and be willing to step forward.
Can we do that? As,
Yes.
as entities, add, citizens into
Because
interview
it
process
is,
for that? I just, when I did mine, it
It's
was only
a-
council and mayor, that's why I'm asking.
it's a mayoral appointment, so.
If I may, in the past, prior to me being involved on any boards or councils, I was actually asked a couple times to head a small committee. That did the interview process with people that were applying for the position. And then we usually had 5 to 6 people on the committee. And then once we did our interview process with them, we wrote up a letter that we provided to the mayor at the time. And the mayor could then choose if they wanted to appoint that particular person that we recommended, and then the council would then approve that appointment. Yeah, but it's kind of similar to what you're saying there. We just didn't actually have any council members on that committee.
I know with the police department, we did, a panel of varied positions. And it worked out, I think, very nicely and very fairly to get good people that we're happy about in. And so, maybe even a process that was similar to that, which, for example, maybe we could include some of the heads of departments or, just some things to think about and consider for a committee.
And it's good to have some different mindsets on the committee, just so that not everybody's thinking the exact same thing. I know when I was setting up the committees at that time, I tried to get a few people that were parents, some people that didn't have any kids, some people are married, maybe own a business, so it's good to
It's
have.
more
some-
separate from. Current,
Yeah,
current heads of departments or council itself. Good idea.
This is something that we can, put on our city website page, that there is an opening, and if they are interested. They could go on the citizen interest form,
Yeah, I don't see that. Would be an issue.
there are very different things for that. Go find out.
I'll tell you.
And that,
Yeah.
I mean-
I'm happy.
all right, so more information on that. Forthcoming here, and. Then as far as my portfolio, I attend, excuse me, the county MPO. And Bismarck City, but in addition to that, it's been a fun month. The engineer and I had the opportunity to visit with Bismarck Public Schools concerning a possible second elementary out within the city of Lincoln, and this is obviously going to be further in the horizon. But it does take time to plan for that, so the need is going to be there. They are aware of it, and so it's just a matter of finding out how we're going to work this, the time frame. Keep you opposed of that. Again, it's not going to be within the next couple of years, so just back your mind, it's coming up. We did have a meeting with DOT, the director, and a couple of his staff to discuss the roads within the city, the county roads, what we can do, and possible funding opportunities that might be out there. I was very excited to hear that, though we're not at that 5,000 population number, there are still some discretionary federal funds that the city might be able to grab to do some work. So looking at some of the grants there. Engineer, public works, auditor, myself went to Horace, had a great discussion with them on their infrastructure, special assessment processes, a lot of information. But one thing that I would like council to do is, we did this last year and hoping to do it for 2025, is to have some of those action items that we want to tackle. So maybe start thinking about it, the things previously we're taking a look at ordinances, revisiting the dedicated zip code. And and then working on our portfolios and what they consist of. And we can just maybe take this month and next month to think about it, if we want to continue on those. Or add something into that. So, and that is what I have. Am I any questions?
Any talk about a junior high?
We don't have the population for that, so that was one thing I did ask them. And it's just the numbers, we don't have the numbers to support financially.
But on the second note, though, all those kids that are in here right now, all going to junior and high school. So at the same token, I get it, but I don't get it. Because we have them. We're already over capacity already.
That's happening. Yeah, that was a discussion, and they have a formula that they use to
Yeah, makes no
determine.
sense to me. That's the reason those, because we have all the students already. But
Well, but you have.
different middles and high schools that they go to. I get it. They do still a little bit less.
So. All right,
I'll just add to that real quick. They like to have like 2 to 3 elementary schools, the junior high.
Right.
And then that much more. Senior high. So it's, yeah, so we're getting there.
It's a weird circle.
Yeah.
Thank you.
so, I didn't know if we had something.
We do. So I'm just gonna start out first, talking about the sewer regionalization. And the dedication of the prairie dog funds. But within the sewer regionalization, Tammy has some numbers that she'd like to present prior to making.
Okay, is this under your?
Under my portfolio.
Okay.
I was just wondering if any of you guys have actually done the numbers and figured out what the resident responsibility would be with the dollar amount that you're figuring out what the city will pay versus what will be left to them.
Well, we don't have the
Right,
definite
just on the
number right
estimate,
now.
on the estimated dollar amount, which was 14.
Yeah, I'll say 15 for around that.
Yeah, 7.8 is FEMA.
right? And, just so you know, if you assign the residents either 2 million or 2.5 million or anything by. The number you need to think of is 1846, and that's just an estimated, that is not what the special assessment committee will probably divide, because you have. The apartments, the condos, the places that have more residents in them than per property. If you take 2 million divided by that number by 20 years, for that number, you're looking at $58, $60 a year for the residents' responsibility for a 20-year loan. Just don't know if any of you guys, I know you guys have asked for numbers, dollars, amount or anything. But the
Can you
difference-
say it again slow?
Yes,
Just the part that is the actual dollar amount that you're talking about.
if you look at the number of bills that I send out in a month, all the residents that have services. Okay, now that doesn't include, you have your school that has more, you have your apartment buildings that have more, you have your condos and everything that you have more. If you're looking at giving the residents a responsibility of $2 million or $2.5 million, you're talking about the difference between about $10 in that amount per household, which the high would be about $60 a year. So you're looking at a 20-year loan. Just when you're doing your figuring and your numbers for assessing what the residents would pay versus what the city would pay for this project.
So are the numbers that you're giving accurate to your understanding approximately of what would be per residential home?
Yep,
For the most part, I understand in Lincoln over the course of 20 years.
yes, because that would be what we decided to do, what you guys decided to do with the bond. Was a 20-year bond. Okay, and then obviously that number where it's gonna vary or difference is you have your special assessment committee. And they're the ones that actually will divide up what dollar amount gets assigned to each property or to each area. And they're gonna make the differences for the school that has more, or the apartment buildings, or, you know, it's gonna depend on how that committee decides to divide it out. But just doing the math of what I send out for utility bills. And that number divided by your 2 million over 20 years. You're looking at between $57 and $62.
So the frustration and the heartburn that everybody, or not everybody, I apologize, that some residents are having over paying for this sewer regionalization comes down to 60 to less than $100 a year. So,
And I was looking at with what guessing, obviously, because you guys haven't decided, I figured that you guys, with what funds were available, if you put all the prairie dog funds in, that's you, city's gonna, with an estimate of about 4.5 million left after the grant. I mean, obviously, it's gonna be your final figure, and yeah, it can go up a little bit, it can be more than that, but I'm guessing the most would probably be around $100 a year.
so that's good to know that the city doesn't have to stand still.
I think that a lot of the residents were worried about what they were gonna get assessed or what they were gonna sign or how much it's gonna cost them and looking at what funds the city was gonna develop towards that, but I don't think anybody ever ran the numbers of what the resident would actually be responsible for.
And that's great. That's great to know. Thank you for doing that. Continue with you.
Okay, so. Not sure where I wanna start.
Oh, one thing that I will say, just as a reminder, the people that are gonna be on that special assessment committee don't come up with the dollar amount that the city is going to assess. They are showing where that money is going to be distributed, not the dollar amount, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have to do a report by the end of November for the prairie dog funds. So what I need to know is if you guys are taking the full $1,997,000, I'm sorry, $1,997,556.92 and applying that to the sewer regionalization.
I would like to vote for that. the total amount to go to our sewer regionalization.
I would second that vote.
I just didn't know if anybody wanted to have discussion before I make a motion.
When does that have to be, like dedicated?
By the end of November, when I do this report, I have to say where it's going and what amount, and even though we're not doing it right at this moment, there's a spot on there that it will be completed, you know, within the future.
Okay.
You know, but
The funds don't necessarily have to be spent at
no,
that
they
time.
don't
it
have to
just
be
has to
spent, they have to be dedicated, allocated.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Should dropping that one down where we can.
So
I will go ahead and make a motion to use all that is available in the prairie dog fund. $1,997,000, 500. Could you say the amount again? Because I didn't have the cents written down either.
6.92
It's $1,997,556.92.
So I make a motion that we take the full amount of the prairie dog fund. $1,997,000, $556.92 to transfer to the sewer regionalization plan.
I'll second that motion.
okay, we have a first by Councilman Artadia, second by Councilman Davis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And if we can get a roll call.
Artavia,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Grinstead,
Yes.
and Prescott.
Yes.
Okay, my second item that I have, as of tomorrow, November 8th, the 3 CDs that we have invested. We have 2 6-month and 1 18-month. They're all coming due tomorrow. Again, they're all $1,666,666 and some odd cents, 66 cents, 67
That's a lot of
cents.
senses.
I know, and
You said 16-month one and 8-month?
so we have 2 6-month
Oh, sorry.
and we have 1 18-month, so. I need to know what the council would like to do with them. I was over at the bank yesterday, she did not give me current rate, I have current rates, so. But because the feds were meeting today, and I do believe they lowered another 1/4%. So that will determine what the bank does in the next couple days, so she couldn't quote me any rates other than what were just current. So as of yesterday, the 6-month CDs were at 4.40. And the 18-month was at 4%. She did say after, and you have a 10-day grace period on these. I don't know when you would think that we would need, our prairie dog funds is within these, so I don't know when we would need to take that money out.
I wouldn't see any pay requests until the middle of the summer next year.
So we're talking another 6 months.
Yes.
If we could take and reinvest them all for 6 months. And as they, right now they're in there at 5%, so they would go down to the 4.40 for sure. And then depending on how the rates affect them with them lowering today 1/4%, I would know on Monday what the bank will do. And I did talk to her about if I found somewhere better, if they would match that rate, and she did ask that I please let her know, and she would do everything she could to match a rate or negotiate the rate.
So is that, you would keep the 2 6-month
I would make
and
them all,
still,
I would make them all 6 months, not knowing exactly.
okay, but if it's the prairie dog, or if it's that 1.99, isn't one of the 6-month 1.6 and the other one 1.6, so why would you?
Because depending on what you do in the beginning of the year with the ARPA funds are also in here, which
Oh,
is 603,000 something. So I don't,
You would not have to tie it all up.
we're not tied up. So I would ask that the 18-month also come down to a 6-month and to reinvest them all in a 6-month CD. I will send out on Monday what the current rates are. And then
So you need a motion.
I would need a motion to accept.
Just one quick question. We're 100% sure that we can't have this due amount before, say, May-ish, right? It's looking like that's what 6 months would bring us to.
We're gonna have some other options with the knowledge project too. We should have the grant money to be available. Some of that's where so.
Can you tell us again what the grant money, how much the grant money would be?
$7 million.
Something like that, I don't.
And that won't change at all.
But that'll stay like a lot. So I feel there's potential for other money to be available.
I'll make a motion to keep the 6-month CDs and to move the 18-month to a 6-month CD at the same rates.
Okay, we have a first by Councilman Davis. I'll second. Second by Councilman Bjornstad. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And roll call, please.
I did say that right, Tanya, right?
Artavia,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Bernsted,
Yes.
and Praska.
Yes.
Next on my agenda, I just want to make you guys all aware, the last meeting, we approved the liquor license, a new liquor license. It was no longer going to be a transfer to Miss Kitty's LLC. And when she filled out her application, she put, DJ's, and not the whole DJ's Pizza and Lounge, doing business as that. So she did go back to this Secretary of State, got a license to do business as DJ's Pizza and Lounge, and I just want to make sure that it's okay that I do a new liquor license for them, under that name, under the correct name.
I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We have a first by Councilman Artavia, second by Councilman Davis. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And if we can get a roll call for that also.
Ernsted,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
Artavia,
Yes.
and Praska.
Yes.
Thank you. And then my last but not least, a 3rd grade teacher, and this is in your pocket, had emailed over and asked if anybody would like to come to their government week one day, from November 18th, any day from 2 to 2:30. It's their opportunity to ask questions to a panel of government officials, and if it would be possible to have a couple members from the office come in, that week sometime.
I could make that work.
So is it just November 18th?
No, the week of November 18th.
Okay.
If we could come up with one day that would work from 2 to 2:30, for a couple of you to go in and let the kids, it says the questions will be prepared ahead of time, by them and the teachers.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, that's what I thought. I mean, I know that we did, I think this kind of last year, right? Or earlier, no, last year, with the 3rd grade too, right? The mayor thing. And I know that they really enjoyed working and having some fun with government entity and learning new things, so.
I wish I could make it work, but I have to decline.
Okay, so we have the 2 of you.
I might be able to, it's really gonna kind of depend, with our work this time of year. Things kind of happen randomly, so.
Okay, and so for the two of you, would you have a date in mind that week? So the 18th, 19th, 20th, the 21st, whatever that week is.
Friday's my birthday. Yeah, I think I'm good. That week, given that Friday.
I do have,
And I don't have any other
Tuesday would not work for now. MPO's out on their leave, so.
Yeah, sorry. Wednesday or Thursday, Monday, either. I'm open other than that Friday.
Yeah, what, do Monday, the 18th, I can let her know that tomorrow.
Sure. Yeah, that works. Thank you, Tom.
Welcome, and I think that's all I have.
Right, before we adjourn, Ray Core birthday, November 10th, 1775, so hoorah, Semper Fi. And happy Veterans Day, Monday, celebrate, thank the vet. And our office will be closed. And if there is no,
Also tomorrow or Monday either, so watch it down, so they're gonna be running around.
so if nothing else before.
Mayor Berglund,
Excuse me?
may I ask one question about tree board real quick?
Yes.
Will Councilwoman Davis be taking over Councilwoman Praska's spot on the tree board in the interim?
I took over beautification,
So that is part of it.
and we lumped in those two, right? So then, yes, I will be that.
Okay, I was just wanting to confirm because we need a third member, otherwise we can't meet, so.
Ryan, Ryan Glass, can you please send me information on that for the next meeting, please? Through email?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
With no other business before, we will stand adjourned as of 7:17 p.m.